Hey there, welcome to the ArtMaster channel. Today we'll be drawing Deadpool. I hope that you enjoy the drawing as much as I have enjoyed drawing it. Okay, to begin the drawing, we're going to start with a few irregular lines and strokes to position the hands and the head. Make sure to revise these lines because we've got to make sure that they're well proportioned before we start detailing the rest of the drawing. Now we can begin with some details on the mask, like the eye shape and stuff like that. For this you can use a HB or 2B pencil, but please don't squeeze it too hard because we're going to have to erase most of our strokes and we don't have to deal with that problem later. I just want to say this is not going to be a fully detailed tutorial because these drawings, they do take a lot of time. And if I want to do a full tutorial, it's going to take over 25 to 30 minutes of a video. So I'm just going to tell you like the general things that I'm doing along the drawing so that you can have an idea of what you can do to make it your own. One of the most important tips that I can tell you is that one of the secrets is that we have to do the least amount of strokes with our pencil. Because later when the coloring begins, if we have a lot of strokes with the pencil, it's just gonna make a mess of the whole thing. So really try to do the less strokes as you can with your pencil. So don't be discouraged if the sketch itself doesn't look as very poppin' because we're not gonna use it that much. And also, just remember, try to keep it proportioned. That is the most important thing of this first step with the sketching. And to be honest, it's been a while since I've done a realistic looking drawing like Deadpool, and Deadpool in particular, I just loved the whole process. And I've got an inkling that any new subscribers that might join this sort of channel will really enjoy this sort of drawing. Once the sketching is done, we can move on to the next step, which is coloring. As you can see, most of this drawing has a lot of dark and grayed shades to it. And to be honest, I was running low on those colors with my Prismacolor pencils. So what I did, I used a first layer of an alcohol-based marker with the black color, and then the second layer I used the pencils that I had. And this was a technique that I've known about for a while, but I never actually done it in one of my projects, and it turned out quite well. Then what we'll do, using the gray color, we're just going to use that pencil to actually accentuate the parts that need to be accentuated with that color. Because let's be honest, using an alcohol-based marker for those particular areas is going to be super difficult. Like, I get it, using those alcohol-based markers, it does save a lot of time with the coloring, but in these parts, it could be a mess if done wrong. So I do suggest to stick with the pencil. Now, in the wider areas of the drawing, yes, you can use the alcohol-based markers there. From this part, I just used 3 different shades of gray. One darker, one lighter, and the lightest. And as always, you know that the best thing that you can do is to mix those colors before they have time to dry. That way, the effect looks way better. Also, as a point of note, I've been using a paper that is well suited for realistic looking drawings with pencils, so the first layers of alcohol markers, they kind of look off, but don't worry because after the several layers that you apply, it's almost imperceptible. If you're wondering which materials I use, well, for the first layer I use the fine color markers. For the second layer of pencils, which they do apply shading and coloring, they were the Prismacolor pencils. And there's a third ingredient, let's just say, that helps a lot with the realistic look of the drawing, but we'll discuss it later in the video. While time passes, these materials might become cheaper or more expensive in some regards, but do not worry, I will leave in the description box below a few links so that you can check for yourself, okay? Moving on. Honestly, I want to take this time to give you a bit of an art advice, if you will. You know, when starting a drawing like this, a lot of people, they just give up quite easily. And look, it happened to me a bunch of times when I was younger. Here's the deal. Most of us, when we're starting out, we apply a certain amount of time to a drawing. Like, I don't know, you're coming back from school and you're like, okay, I have 2 free hours, I am gonna finish this drawing in 2 hours and that's it. And if you don't manage to do that in 2 hours, you just give up. And that's not the best course of action because you have to prepare yourself mentally that any work of art that you want to do, especially if you're trying to do realistic looking pieces, they can take up to 13 hours or more. and you're not gonna draw 12 hours in one sitting. So a drawing may take up to a week or 10 days depending on your schedule. So every time that you sit down to draw, you should consider that a challenge and just try to make the best that you can for that period of time, and then come back to it again and again and again until it's done. And once you complete a couple of drawings, your brain will adapt to that. We are creatures of habit. So don't give up, prepare yourself mentally, be honest with yourselves, and yeah, take your time to do the best that you can do, and eventually you'll get super used to it. And that's my art tip for today. Anyway, going back to the drawing, once that first layer of alcohol markers are set in, we're gonna go back to the gray colored pencil, and we're also gonna use a white colored pencil. We're going to use the white colored pencil to add a highlights to the parts where the alcohol markers were used. Now, as you can see, we have no issues while coloring over the alcohol-based markers, so that is a huge plus. Awesome, we basically have all the black colored parts of Deadpool already in the drawing, but to give it that extra leathery look, we're going to use a technique called pointillism. For this, I use a white fountain pen, Posca brand, to start applying these tiny little dots in the pauldrons. Now, this is going to be a tedious part because you have to do a lot of them, and we have to make sure to mix and match the dots. They don't have to be super thick. And I'm mixing these dots with a white colored gel pen. Also remember, you can have a small sheet of paper or like a tissue and just dry them up real quickly so that it doesn't make a little mess. And you can clearly see the difference in the dot size while interchanging the pen and the fountain pen. I'll leave the links of them in the description below as well. Once we're done with this process, it might look that some parts are wider than we originally intended, but do not worry. You can go back with the Prisma colored pencil, with the gray one or the dark one, and just retouch that part and it will look way better. This would help look that extra realistic look and feel to it, but be careful, don't push in too hard with the new layer of black or gray because it might just undo the whole process that you did with the white dots. Well, now, reaching the hands, I wasn't really sure if I was gonna be able to pull it off, but to be honest, with the white Posca marker, the gel pen, and the white pencil, I really managed to do this cool effect. And as always, if it looks too white, you can then go back and use the dark pencil or the dark gray pencil, and it will just, add that little layer of detail that makes it look way more real. Fantastic, all the black parts of Deadpool have been done correctly, but what would Deadpool be without his iconic red color? For this, we'll just skip the whole part with the markers and jump straight into the red colored pencils. For this, we'll use different shades of red, going from darker to the lightest color. And as a reminder, I do think that starting by the darkest colors and then going to the lighter ones helps a lot. As always, I do recommend for you to check that your sheet of paper really matches with the type of materials that you're using so that you don't have any weird problem with the white dots or any coloring issues. Okay, here's some real-time footage so that you can compare with the sped-up footage that you see, and you can actually see how, patient you have to be with this sort of drawing. To be honest, this drawing took me over 14 hours to complete, and I didn't mind it at all. I think it was one of my best drawings. I don't want to sound weird or anything, but when I finished it, I cried. Tears of joy. To me, this drawing was super comforting. I love the character, I love the style, and I've done an Iron Man drawing before that I thought it was my best work, but this, today, is my best work. If you want to see more drawings in these styles, please leave your comments down below, and I'll love to do more of them. I would really love to do more. This is a passion project of mine, and if you love art, if you have a passion for art, this is one of the best things that you can achieve, just crying out of joy for your own work. And after the hard task of pointillism, the only thing left to do is to color the eyes, and we're just going to use 3 different shades of very light gray. And after that, ladies and gents, we have our beloved Deadpool complete. And that's it. This is my finest work so far, and I really hope that you enjoyed watching this tutorial as I've enjoyed doing this art piece. As always, please leave a like and a comment down below. It really does help out a lot, and I do very much appreciate every single one of those comments and likes. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!